All right, so we have been looking at the Big 12 schedules, released the Tuesday, the week of the Super Bowl. We have TCU today, Texas Tech tomorrow, which is also a day. We have Texas Tech football coach Joey McGuire, Craig Smoak, Paul Catalina, David Smoak, and Craig, take us away with the Horned Frogs.
Yeah, y'all better enjoy this segment while it lasts because it's about to end here in about 4 days. There's a big chunk of time you're not going to have any longer, but it's been fun to kind of comb through these, and we'll obviously get more detailed when we get into the later months of this year. In summer, we'll start to kind of really break the teams down, but in terms of just the schedule and taking a look at everybody, TCU today, and TCU, according to their own press release on their schedule released a couple weeks ago, one of just 2 schools nationally that will play 11 P4 opponents in 2024. So 11 Power 4 conference opponents for the Horned Frogs. They were one of only 3 to play 11 last season, so this is not that different for them, but now just one of 2. Also, just 6 home games, so they have a 6-6 schedule, but they did say in their write-up on this that beginning next year, they will have 8 home games rather than 6, and they will have a minimum of 7 home games every single year thereafter. Everybody's starting to get to scrounge these home games. I'm just wondering, how's this going to work? Because not everybody is going to be able to have 7 and 8 home games, but it does feel like everybody's starting to kind of gimmick up their schedules. And, this is the absolute last time we're doing 6-6, but they say they're going to have at least 7 home games every year from here, I guess, until eternity. So 6-6, the schedule for this season, and TCU gets started on a very interesting note. Week 1, Monday night, will be game number 1 for TCU, September the 1st, and on the road. So think about that. On the road on a Monday night to start the season, and you will be in Chapel Hill, North Carolina to take on Bill Belichick and his UNC Tar Heels. So North Carolina right out of the gates for TCU. And they take a bye week the very next week. They play North Carolina on a Monday night, and then it's straight into a bye week. So let's just start there. That's a pretty sexy matchup that wouldn't have been nearly as sexy if, let's be honest, Mac Brown was still the head coach. That's one that would have a storyline of Mac and, playing a team from Texas that he's familiar with. And, maybe North Carolina's got a little bit of preseason buzz. But now with Bill Belichick, that's going to have a lot of buzz, especially being a game so early in the season like that.
Yeah, and it's a big matchup theoretically. I mean, we don't really know anything about North Carolina or what Bill Belichick's going to do. Nope. How the offense is going to look, how the defense is going to look, if it's going to be anything like the Patriots, if he's decided to do something else. Other than that, it's hard to even know any of that stuff. But still, credit to the schedule, for them doing it for both those schools. But I would guess first round out of the box that's a pretty likely win for them, considering they're further down the line than North Carolina is. I don't care how many Super Bowls Bill Belichick has. This is a different thing.
Well, you know what? In 23, TCU opened up against Deion, won his first game at Colorado, right? And lost that game. And so 2 years later, they open up against North Carolina in Chapel Hill. These are the games that I hope that we never lose. And I know there are some schools committed to continuing, especially Michigan, Texas, Ohio State, et cetera. Although Ohio State's schedule last year was a little bit barren in September. That you get these kinds of games that may not be blue bloods, but they're really good, strong Power 4 schools.
Yeah, no doubt. And I just want to go back to him for just 1 second, please. What do you think somebody who's just tuning in thinks is on the table right now? I just wonder, they're just what is that? All right, anyways, so week 2. Yeah, no kidding.
There's a lot going on.
This is a muscle gun, by the way. Yeah, I wish. All right.
Yeah, so there you go. North Carolina, week 1. Week 2, bye week. And, they got to have that extra time to get ready for their home opener. I will say that game, Belichick's first, it will also be in Chapel Hill. So you are hitting the road for week number 1. So there is that. But then week 2, bye week. Week 3, you'll have an extra week to prepare for your home opener and Abilene Christian. So there's week 3 ACU. And then in week 4, closing out the non-conference slate with the SMU Mustangs, the 104th battle for the Iron Skillet, and this will be at Amon Carter Stadium in Fort Worth. So there you go, SMU to close it out. So SMU and North Carolina, 2 ACC schools for TCU to tangle with in the non-conference. After SMU, they will travel to Tempe to take on Arizona State, the reigning Big 12 football champions. That's how they will open up conference play. The following week, October the 4th, Colorado in Fort Worth. The following week after that, Saturday, October 11th, week 7, they'll travel to Kansas State to take on the Wildcats there. The following week, another Saturday, week 8, they will get Baylor at home in the big rivalry game. It's not the Bluebonnet Battle. I don't care what the official title is. The rivalry game will take place on Saturday, October 18th in Fort Worth. Then week 9, Saturday, October 25th, they go to Morgantown to take on West Virginia. And then finally, in week 10, they get a bye week. So they open week 1 at North Carolina, Bill Belichick's first game, get a break right after that. They go ACU at home, SMU at home, at Arizona State, Colorado at home, at K-State, Baylor at home, at West Virginia.
This is...
I've got some huge news. We have officially found the unlock to optimizing performance for young athletes. Now, for the past 15 years, I've been training quarterbacks. Tons of camps, tons of college and NFL players. But for the last 3 years, my team and I have been on a mission to solve the questions that I was getting about what should young athletes, in particular athletes with developing bodies, what should they be consuming? I came to the conclusion that I think nutrition is actually the #1 opportunity as an athlete that you have to make an impact on all the work that you're putting in. Speaking directly to the parents, this is probably the #1 opportunity you have to make a huge impact on all the work and effort and resources that you've been putting in to give your young athlete an opportunity to chase their dreams. We've created Thread Performance to solve that problem. We're launching this summer with a suite of products that are absolutely going to change the game for your development. This is just the beginning of our mission to revolutionize sports nutrition specifically for young athletes. Give @Thread Performance a follow. The link in the bio, there's an opportunity to sign up for the waiting list and be the first to grab yours.
A gauntlet of a schedule.
On paper it is, yeah.
I mean, absolutely a gauntlet. I mean, when you've got 2 playoff teams back to back, not to mention you open up with Bill Belichick, so it's not like, the whole world's not going to be watching that one on a Monday night, So you're going to have, this is good, I guess it's good news, bad news for TCU. You are, throughout the first 2 months of the season, going to have maybe more eyeballs on you television-wise than you ever have before because you have Bill Belichick. Well, then you're playing a rivalry game against a playoff team. Then you're playing against the defending conference champion. Then you're playing against Dion again. Mm-hmm. Then you're playing at Kansas State that's a good team. Baylor is a huge rivalry game, and that should be a pretty good one based on paper right now.
Yeah, if they both hold up their end of the bargain, yeah.
The worst 2 games in this are Abilene Christian, who, remember, pushed Texas Tech to the brink of insanity.
They lost their quarterback, though.
A year ago, yes. Yeah. But even still, they did that. And then West Virginia, who by this point in the season might be a little bit, in a groove.
Yeah, so it'll be fall weather. Maybe Rich Rod's got Morgantown rocking like days of old at that point. I don't know. But, yeah, that's a on paper, that's a tough stretch there. So then week 10, they get their second bye week. They can finally take a breath after that little bit of a gauntlet. They turn around and return on Saturday, November the 8th, and they get Iowa State at home. Like, they ticked off all of the best teams from last year boxes.
No,
basically.
They really did.
And then to further prove that point, week 12, they go on the road to BYU on Saturday, November the 15th. So first visit to Provo since 2009. And there was a college game day there as TCU was top 10 at the time. Andy Dalton was the quarterback, and they went and beat up a nearly top 15. They were number 16 ranked BYU. But, yeah, so TCU going to Provo for the first time in about 15 years. And then they will close it out with 2 games that, on paper, you would think maybe lighten up compared to what we've been talking about for like the last 10 weeks, basically. Mm-hmm. But maybe not. They go to Houston on Saturday, November 22nd. And, I mean, who the heck knows what Houston looks like at that point in the season. And then week 14, close out the regular season. They will be at home to take on Cincinnati. And that will be the first trip for Cincinnati to Fort Worth since 2003. Unique, and that's a good road trip for you Cincy fans. I think Fort Worth's a fun town. I think we'd all agree on that. That'd be one of the better spots to maybe go. Although at the end of the year, maybe you're like already a coaching search in at that point. If you're Cincinnati, I don't know. But there you go. That's the schedule. Close it out with a home game against Cincinnati. So 6 home, 6 away, a Monday nighter to start things against North Carolina. All the rest of the games are on Saturdays. But man alive, you're going to some interesting places to play, and even your home games are a bit tough.
9 bowl teams last year. Coaching changes at North Carolina, but 9 of their 12 games are against bowl teams.
I'll make a recommendation for Cincy fans. Look, that Thanksgiving weekend, okay, that they're going to be playing here at Fort Worth. Come on down. Go to see the Cowboys. Either hype up the whole world by a Thanksgiving win or be terribly disappointing. Yeah. Then take Friday, have a day, go somewhere, stay somewhere like the Gaylord or the Omni, somewhere cool, and then on Saturday you can go on over and experience Sam and Carter.
Yeah,
that's a pretty cool little sports weekend I just made for you.
Yeah, no, that's not a bad idea. You can go.
The Mavericks might be playing on Friday, and that'll be a super easy ticket next year.
I don't know who that is. I don't know who you're referring
to.
It's
a rodeo team.
But no, I mean, you go Stockyards, you can go Billy Bob, you can do all sorts of things in Fort Worth. So, yeah. There you go. There's the schedule. Because of who they do have, the teams they don't have, they don't play Texas Tech, which that just feels wrong. Like, I don't know how you don't have – I mean, I know why you don't, but I think that's a mistake to not have all the Texas teams round robining each year. So no Texas Tech, no Arizona, no Kansas, no Utah, no UCF, no Oklahoma State. So perhaps they meet one of those teams in the Big 12 championship game, but those are the ones they miss. So of that list, I mean, Texas Tech is definitely the one that's expected to be the best on paper of those schools.
That they skip.
The rest of them, I mean, Kansas might be pretty good. Utah could be pretty good, but we really have no idea. So, yeah, there you go. There's the TCU schedule. And to me, this is one of the tougher ones we've talked about at this point.
I kept wondering, they're going to play. Oh, no, they got this team. I agree.
I think it's maybe the toughest one we've talked about just in terms of you don't have 3 bye weeks like some teams have. Monday night to start things is kind of weird, but they will have, to Paul's point a few moments ago, they will have some good TV games. Like if they're worth a salt and the teams they're playing are, then, playing Belichick, playing Dion, your rivalry game that normally is insanely crazy against Baylor. I mean, there's some fun games. This is a good schedule. It's a tough schedule, but it's a very entertaining schedule if you're a TCU fan.
And I would encourage anybody who's never watched the Skillet game, SMU and TCU.
Oh, yeah, that gets nuts.
To watch that one.
And it's more intense than ever before.
I'll have to show you all I have to do to get Steven Simcox worked up is mention the 3 letters SMU. And he just
he hates him like Kim Coulter does.
Yeah.
By the way, Abilene Christian was 2 rounds deep in the FCS playoffs too. They were 9-5, and as you mentioned, they do lose McIver, but they were pretty good too. And you got to be careful with them early on in the season. It's a heck of a schedule. I think it is the best. I think it is what looks to be based on results from a year ago, which doesn't always translate, but it looks to be. Yeah, I kept waiting for. Okay, there's Kansas State. Oh, the Baylor, Iowa State, BYU. So
there's really Craig. Not too much of a break where you get a couple teams that are low end of the totem pole. There's really not that on that schedule, and will be interesting as well to see how that goes, because if it goes sideways, there is a new athletic director. And so I don't care who you are. If there's a new athletic director, I don't think you always feel completely 100% secure. And, after the slide of last year, Sonny Dykes is worn on a few TCU fans, I think it's fair to say. They're not in total love, and I'm not saying he's on the hot seat at this point, but I do think that, like, if they don't play a little bit better this year, they get off to a bad start, then you could really find yourself in some trouble. And then you get a lot of chirping going on potentially. But I think they'll be pretty good, especially with Hoover back. He's a stud, so I'm excited to see this. This is a fun schedule, some cool road trips, and some big-time games.